from my perspective is you have to be at the right place at the right time. It's all about opportunities.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. On each episode, a team member of mine or myself will be on here inviting a new business owner to share lessons that they've learned as they've grown their business and also to share challenges that they're experiencing that is keeping them from getting where they want to go. And so it's my pleasure to be able to introduce our guest today. His name is Ankit Agarwal. Ankit is the founder and CEO of Concepts to Solutions, and they help businesses who have very complex supply chain issues. They've got manufacturing and distribution capabilities, and they need systems like warehouse management solutions. They need operational excellence to be able to be more efficient in the way they set up their operations. And Ankit and his team are experts when it comes to those systems and the operations to create a smooth supply chain experience for their clients or their clients' customers. So, welcome to the show, Ankit. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you for the nice little introduction there. Glad to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'd love to have you share with everybody a little bit more comprehensively what Concepts to Solutions is all about, who you serve, anything you want our listeners to have in the back of their mind as we're talking about the business owner lessons and issues that we'll get to.
Sure. Yeah. First, I'll start with just we go by K2S. That's the official doing business as well. It's easier. The journey for concepts to solutions really just. I'll start with. It started with just we try and solve problems and in the warehouse space specifically. So we're bringing in solutions, and really what we said to our customers that hey, you can come with a concept, and it's the way it's spelled, why it's spelled with a K, that it could be a roughly defined concept, it could be just an idea, it's not really a concept, and then how we convert that into solutions. So that's how the name was. But as we grew, part of our journey into this seven figure as well, that just it was just very hard to spell. People would get it wrong, and even when you were explaining it, concepts with a K, the number two, and then solutions, and both concepts and solutions, both plural, it was just a nightmare. So, so we got ourselves the K2S.com on our leadership team. Somebody really just worked out something with the current owners of K2S.com. Fortunately, there was a business that wasn't active running, so we've got that, and then we've registered as a DBA. So K2S, I'll save you the hassle as well. Just you can go by
Okay.
K2S.
Yeah, K2S.com, especially for people who have warehouses that they're trying to manage and make super efficient. That's what K2S is expert at. All right, Ankit, let's get into the meat of our interview. You have been doing this for however long you've been doing it. You've got something that's working. It's off the ground. You've built a team around it. You're serving more and more clients. We always love asking our guests to share any lessons that they've learned personally as they've grown as a leader or as they've done the work to build the team and have the business be growing to the point that it is now. What are some key lessons that you've learned that might be helpful to others?
um, One thing that comes to mind right off the top is just, and then this is not me trying to be humble here, but there's a lot of luck involved in how you get there and how you proceed. And the luck really, from my perspective, and I'll shed a little more light into this, is from my perspective is you have to be at the right place at the right time. It's all about opportunities. So, and then not everybody comes with their own luck. So my way to beat around that would be to try and be everywhere at all times possible. So at some point, that right place at the right time is going to click, and I'm going to be there, and that's how opportunities come about. So that to just get around that luck aspect really, it comes with just a lot of single-minded focus that hey, you really have to own this, and I'm a parent here, so I have to look at the business as a child as well, especially earlier years, right? You really have to be on it all the time. And then how can you? So if you're not tuned in mentally, you're not going to be at all places at all times. And I don't mean it physically, it's just metaphorically, but just you have to put yourselves out there. Just seek opportunities. Don't be limited to what you can and cannot do. We started out with a very niche specialty, saying that hey, we're going to do solution architecture for Blue Yonder WMS only. And then from that, that evolved into technical services, specialized. We're doing special customizations and writing code and delivering complex technical solutions. Operational solutions was a result of that as well. And then we got into robotics and integrations into it, just how the warehouses are advancing as well. But that was all in Blue Yonder itself. And then we grew further into other WMSs as well. South Beyond WMS is another one that we work with. So just we look at ourselves that hey, you're into the warehouse space, you understand technical challenges, you've seen the product grow and evolve, you understand operational challenges. Why are we limiting ourselves to just one product and application? Let's just go out there. So seek other partnerships as well. So really, so that I hope I'm answering that how we're trying to be at all places at all times and just seek opportunities constantly. That hey, just don't limit yourselves, don't limit your potential, don't limit your team's potential. Just constantly challenge them and want to do more. That helps with team employee retention as well. That hey, they're constantly being challenged. Of course, within reason, just within their comfort zones as well. But hey, how much do you want to push the boundaries? Hey, how about we do this? How about we take that on? And sometimes it gets met with a little bit of resistance, saying that hey, we don't really do that, or how are we selling ourselves? And it's not that we're selling ourselves as something that we're not, but it's just we're portraying an ability or portraying an approach to problem solving, which is very generic if you look at it holistically in the warehouse operation space.
Okay, so I heard be lucky. No, I'm just kidding, Ankit. Uh, I don't think anybody's ever said luck on this podcast. So I like that you said that, and it does play a little bit to your humility. You're a humble guy. The point is though, sometimes things have to work together in your favor, but you're out there doing all that you can to increase the chances of that happening. And
Absolutely.
so when you said be everywhere all the time, I and you likened it to having a little child as a parent. Like, not that you're hovering over that child, but in the beginning, it's very much about the physical safety and well-being of that child, the emotional care of that child. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. And I hear you saying, hey, growth is not for the faint of heart. Like, you got to be out there making it happen, being everywhere, having the right conversations, understanding what's needed in the marketplace, understanding what is already available, understanding where you can fit in. And as you're going through all those iterations of learning and putting yourself out there, you've come across opportunities that have allowed you to grow. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's great.
Uh,
Anything else you would add, Ankit?
yeah, and then one of the founding principles really of K2S was so I've been on this warehouse operations and warehouse implementations is really my entire career has been that right out of college wanted to be a software developer guy. Got hired by a company that happens to do software for warehouse management or just for warehouse implementation. That's how I really got into the supply chain field. Uh, so then I was a technical resource. I realized that operations is really where my heart is. So I wanted to get out there. So I got that experience, and then still on the implementation side, I wanted to be just what is it to be like a customer to be on a team that owns the warehouse, and now you own the operations and how you're running it. So got a mix of just customer side, the vendor side, the technical side, the operational side, and there was a huge list of just what not to do list that I made, and I hope I'm not really a pessimist that ways, but somehow I ended up with that list that hey, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, and nobody likes this. As you talk with your peers, you realize that nobody seems to like that. So K2S was founded on these principles, saying that hey, we may not know what to do, right? We're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna pave our way, and we're gonna plow through this together. We know what not to do. We know what cheeses people off, stay away from those, right? And then that's been the mantra internally for our team as well. That hey, that defines the boundaries in a way, right? Say that hey, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Um, Basic things like getting paid on time, right? Like customers don't always pay on time, and any vendors that we work with, we're never late. That is one thing that hey, we are never going to be late for any payments.
So at the top of your list of what not to do, don't pay people late. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely, that is the
Yeah.
number one. Everything could be going great. If people don't get paid on time, they start losing trust. They feel like you're not a professionally run organization. Just it's the basics. It's nothing new, right? So it's not rocket science. It's just and it's shocking almost 2024. We're talking about this, right? That we're not at just we the global we. We're not at that professional level. That this is not a given, right? That hey, if
Yeah.
you respectfully um, present opportunities to everybody, just make sure that what is it that they want to do. I wanted to get out and into the operation side, but I was all fortunately or unfortunately I was pretty good on the tech side as well. So I just kept being pushed there. No, you're good at this. Keep doing this. Like, but that's not what I want to do. So just respect that as well, right? Just because it's good for the business or just because it's somebody's good at something doesn't mean that they really want to do that. So how to just nurture people, encourage people, make sure that their goals are met, and how you can again make it work for the business and the growth of the business. And if it's not a fit, it's not a fit, and it's not, just don't take it personal.
Good lesson. Yeah. Okay. Ankit, I would love to transition now to, yeah, you've learned some great things that you shared in your growth journey, and now you're still trying to grow your business. There's the next place, the next stage of business that you're working on. What has been a challenge for you in that way? And maybe we'll have a talk about that can help you and others.
Yeah. So starting out, I think it started with just myself on the team. It was a one person. So you're doing everything from the
Yeah.
administration to the website, even building the website, the content for the website, and then issuing invoices and doing the project work as well. So that's where really all of the energy goes. And as it grows, once and it was really interesting to me because. Um, Really they say what got you here wouldn't get you there. So there's been something that's helped us get there, and we're constantly trying to little bit shake things up a little bit how as to how we can break this glass ceiling and move on to the next level as well. That's kind of where we're at, which is why your podcast really interested me, saying that this is exactly where we're at. It really captures really they call it the growing pains, but that's I think you captured them well, right? So there are some of the growing pains that I believe other founders and partners on the show have also experienced, and I think we're experiencing some of that as well. So anyway, I think the biggest thing for me personally was pulling myself out of the day to day, just doing consulting work, right? So I was, uh, and maybe 2.5 years ago, I pulled myself out of that. So I was dedicating myself to one key customer, one key project, and I was giving them 40 hours of my time as consulting time for as a solutions architect. And then everything else, growing the business, hiring, and managing the team, everything else, I was doing that on the side as a side
Yeah.
job.
On the side. Yeah.
And then it was a realization that the biggest thing that's standing between the growth that the K2S expects and where it's at is me. I am preventing, and then it's really short sightedness, and maybe it's required for that time. I look back at it very differently now, but um, it was good for the business, right? I'm, I'm probably the from an efficiency standpoint, I'm always billable, and I'm not giving myself fancy raises every year. So it's the revenues look great because hey, you've got this resource billing
Sure.
40 hours
Highly
every week,
productive. Yeah. Highly
highly
productive.
productive, right? Yeah, very productive. So to step away from that. So it's not just the opportunity cost lost for billing and securing and the longevity of our most critical customer, but also and if you look at it from a financial perspective, you become from an asset, you start becoming a liability. Saying that okay, I'm still drawing a salary, I'm not bringing in the revenue, not directly at least. And then how does it go? And it takes a hit. It takes a hit on the financial numbers for a year or 2 years. But then again, one year more on the business and really just getting the business out there. We got through this rebranding a little bit, which is when the shift from concepts and solutions to K2S happened. Um, and this fancy new website as well. So that's really all of those efforts started to pay off. So we're attending more trade shows. These partnerships that I talked about, that's when they started to come through. So and then the team's grown. We're 14 or 15, I think, full-time employees and 24, 25 if you count all the contractors as well. So I wouldn't have been able to get it here if I was giving 40 hours to this critical customer and spending my
Yeah,
weeks and energies there. And when I was going to bed, I was thinking about this customer, not thinking about K2S. Like that's
that's
unfortunately,
right.
yeah, great customer, very supportive as well, understanding. So we still hold the account, still our largest account. So it's been that's been the biggest challenge, is stepping away from it, taking that hit for a year or two, a financial hit really, and then just believing that this is in you're in for the long haul. I do want to call out, I leaned a lot on my leadership team. So we stood a leadership team as well, which comprises of just business development, human resources, tech leadership, consulting leadership. So everything gets run. Earlier it was just a single minded, like, hey, Ankit's called it, it's going to happen, and it does. Now everything gets run through this leadership team. There's joint decision making, there's healthy arguments back and forth, there's a lot of discussion. So that's been the biggest challenge in trying to help us get to the next level, and feels like we're about to shatter this next glass ceiling as well.
So Ankit, you said that that was a biggest challenge, but you just explained how you pulled yourself out. So to be clear, you did pull yourself out of the delivery, right? The fulfillment with the
Mm-hmm.
client, and now you're spending your time to be that CEO, that outward facing evangelist, that person that's building partnerships. Like you're doing externally facing things now and work to build on the business. So you've done that. So what? How can I help you move from where you are now to where you like? Where are you wanting to go from here?
I say I've done that in the sense that I've pulled away from the project work, but I still get I still get engaged. I'm still into the weeds.
Okay, so you're still
Right.
wrestling with that
Yeah, so
breakaway.
I'm not dedicating 40 hours a week, but if there's a fire burning, I get called upon. Right. So
Yeah. So we know how to find Ankit. We just look for
yeah,
smoke, and then we'll find Ankit. Okay. All right. All right. That helps me. So you know you should do it. You've taken a big initial step to not take client work, but you're still getting pulled back into operational things, and you'd like to break free from that. Am I
correct.
understanding correctly?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, why does this matter? I like to take a minute with each of our guests to say, why does this even matter? What's the benefit to the business if you're able to separate from the day to day, or what's the cost to the business if you don't? Like, what does it mean financially to the business for you to figure this out?
Um, I think just overall direction, and not be sucked into one project or one customer. Um,
But how does that affect the business? Does that show up in, like, if you do this well, does that show up in increased sales? If you do this well, does that take cost out? If you don't do this, does that
it
mean
would show up in increased sales, yes, because that's the one thing that I'm truly focusing myself on, is just how do I put ourselves more out there, just leveraging my connections, my network, to build the relationships, get more customers, increase sales.
okay?
Um,
So
yes.
if you don't break out, if you don't fully break out of the day-to-day activity, then
Hmm.
you are limiting the growth that your business can achieve.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's what's at stake here, right? If we want to put it in those terms, like this
Yeah, yeah, no,
matters.
that, yeah, you're great with
Yeah.
words like that. Yeah, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I love that you started talking about the leadership team that you've built. I
Mhm.
went to your website earlier. I saw that you've got a handful of senior leaders. It's a little unusual. I'll just say this, but I think in a complimentary way, it's a little unusual for a company your size to have that much leadership team already built out. To have 15 full-time employees and what was it, like five on the leadership
I'm
team?
putting myself on the leadership team. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that represents a large investment in leadership capability. And so what I'll do here is I'll selfishly give a commercial break to everybody out there that your business can only grow as far as your collective leadership can take it. And when I hear that you have 5 out of 15 in these leadership roles, one business owner might hear grossly inefficient, right? They might be like, "Wow, that's a lot of money spent on leadership roles for the size of company that you are. But another way to look at it is you're well primed, like you're set up to be able to handle the growth that's coming, or you're trying to enable the growth by investing in these leaders. And so I want to lean into that interpretation here for a minute and say that I think the best thing that you could do to stay out of the day to day is to really lean on these leaders that you have. Um, and as I look at the team, it looks like most of them are more on the technical side or the services side. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So between the couple technical leaders and the one services leader, is there any client facing thing that can happen today that one of them can't handle? Like why are you getting involved when you have three capable leaders on the technology and services side?
A lot of times it's because of familiarity, um, customer preference, really. Um, and when I do get called upon, I do lean on this team to just kind of just, it's more to show to the customer saying that, hey, you don't really always have to call me to get the attention.
Right.
But maybe it's an industry thing, or just they feel comfortable that, okay, I'm talking to the CEO and he'll get it done. Or maybe it's just the relationships that, and then all of our customers, at least right now, have come through very traditional word of mouth relationship building. So uh, these are people who've been my peers, my mentors, my colleagues over the years through my career journey as well. So there's that relationship as well. Maybe that's what gets me pulled back in.
Yeah, the
Um,
relationship, the familiarity, I heard you use both of those words. And those are positive, right? That's strong for your company, that's strong for client retention, but it does hurt when you're trying to get out of the day-to-day. So let's talk about some practical things that you can do.
mhm,
One of them would be at whenever you get called, if you feel like if I don't show up, this is going to be challenging for that client or that customer. What I would do is if I feel like I have to show up, I would show up, but I would bring the person that I really want to own that thing with me.
mhm,
So I'd bring one of those leaders or whoever the team member is that's actually going to fulfill, and I would start using language with the client like, "Hey, because of our long-standing relationship, because of the trust that you and I have, I'm physically here right now, but this is your person, right? This is your guy or your gal. This is the person who is going to capably provide the the service, the support, the solution that you need. It's actually not going to be me, but I came out of respect for our relationship. But the next time, I'm just going to send this person because they're the ones who are going to help you." And so there's a little bit of training or retraining that needs to happen with our most important clients to say, hey, I know we've been doing this for years, you and I, but in order for my business to be able to do what we're trying to do, I have to get away from having these ongoing relationships with clients. And I'm sure they understand. Actually, they know that's true, but it's just the familiarity and the comfort level that they're leaning on. So
mhm,
just invite and bring the right team member with you, and then turn to them. Like literally, I wish you could physically tie your hands as a visual symbol to the client. Look, I'm not going to do anything. My hands are tied. That's the person who's going to do it. And just keep deferring to them. And when the customer says, "Okay, what about this? What do you think, Ankit?" Say, "Oh, turn to your leader, turn to the person that you brought and say, what do you think? This is your responsibility." And then, if the customer's not getting the notice, that they're not catching it, they're not catching on, then maybe the next time you're called out, you just write them back and say, unfortunately, I'm physically unable to join to engage at this time. I'm going to have so and so take care of it. You know how to reach me if something goes poorly, but so and so is going to do it. So, some combination of deferring to, pointing to the team member, and communicating clearly with the customer that, hey, I've always enjoyed this working relationship, and I hope that we continue to have a relationship for years to come. However, in order for me to do what I need to do as the CEO of my business, I've hired extremely capable people who are better than I am or who have my support if needed. But they're going to take care of you really well, and you always know how to get a hold of me if you absolutely need to. So you're just sort of weaning them off of you until
Hmm.
at some point you exchange messages on LinkedIn or holiday cards or whatever, like, hey, hope you're doing well, thinking of you. But you're not involved in the actual day-to-day stuff. So hopefully that's a little helpful. Does any of that sound like something that would be useful to you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's only one thing, and I probably should have led with that is we're a remote first company. We're actually fully remote.
So you
A
don't,
lot of
yeah, so you
the
don't
work,
physically show up. Yeah.
physically, yeah, yeah. But I get the gist of what you're talking about, and then there's a way to do that virtually as well. But just a lot of
Yes.
times, and my team's spread out across 12 states as well. So just
Yeah.
everybody you're working with.
Same principle. You got it. Same principle. You just apply it in Zoom or Google Meet or wherever you guys
Mhm.
show up. Either don't show up and say, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't make it." So and so's there. They are the point person. I would only be there to support them anyways. Um, you know, Please move forward without me. Or show up and make sure you introduce with very clear language. This is our person. You're going to love what they bring, and you can even talk that person up. They have this experience. This is the person I lean on whenever I have these types of complex issues. You just really build them up for the client, and then say, I'm just going to sit back on this call to make sure that you guys are getting done what you need to, but I actually don't think I even need to be here. Next time I'm probably just going to sit this one out because I have lots of other things I need to do. And you just start excusing yourself.
Yeah, I think right, what you said is just don't show up. That's probably a lesson that I've taken away from here. Like I, and then just talking about just how when I talked about luck, right, just being there and just showing up everywhere. It's actually counterproductive because I still have that ingrained in me, and I want to show up, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so that's actually, and again, I'll circle back to what I said, that I am probably standing in the way again of us growing because I always show up, or at least I always
What is
try to.
what is the message, Ankit? You've always wanted to show up for your people, for your customers. What is the message to your team member if you show up?
Probably that they're not being empowered, or they're not being trusted enough, or that they need, yeah, or that they need me for this to be successful, and which
Yeah.
is not
The
the
only way
case.
this is going to work is if I'm there. So I show up. But if I don't show up, I don't believe that you can do it. That's why I keep showing up. I mean, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but that's that's the signal that you're sending to the customer and to the team member every time you're there. The only way this goes well is if I show up. So if
Hmm.
you're happy with the ceiling that you've hit with your business or that you're approaching, I don't know where you're at right now, but if you're happy with the level of business that you have today, then just keep doing what you've always done. But if you want to do something more, and you said this earlier, what got you here won't get you there, right? So if
Hmm.
you really want to see K2S have more impact in the world, if you really believe that you have within your team that you've carefully built the knowledge,
Hmm.
the skills, the ability to serve more and more clients, then you have to not show up.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is spot on, Brett. And there's a light bulb that just kind of went off in my head, and it's right there. Makes sense.
Well, I'm glad you had a little light bulb moment. I wish I wish I could like quantify those every time they happen. Oh, there's another light bulb. I saw a light bulb. But the reason I like it is because you took time out of your day to day to come be a guest on our podcast and share the lessons that you learned and share this really valuable issue, not just for you, but lots of business owners have this very same issue. And so you've given us a gift. I'm glad that in return you got a little light bulb. I want to share an idea that somebody shared with me once that I just absolutely love. Here's the idea, and I hope you can take this and use it sometime, Ankit. The idea is
Mhm.
this: you can't read the label from inside the jar. Can't read the label from inside the jar. And we're all sitting in our own comfortable jars. we don't we don't always see the label, and it's just really valuable to have another perspective, who can see the label and read it to us and say, here's what's going on. And the little light bulb goes off. We go, oh, of course, that makes perfect sense. I could see it. I could see through the jar. I could see there was a label there. I could see the backside of the label. I could even see the response from other people who were looking at the label, but I could never read the label myself from inside the jar. So anytime we can either get ourselves out of the jar to
Yep.
see it or invite somebody else to read the label to us, it's really valuable. So um, thank you for putting yourself in a position today where you could see something in a new way. That does help everybody who's listening. Appreciate it. All right,
Yeah.
Ankit.
Thank you so much, Brett. Thank you for having me, and this has been very enlightening.
Good, 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 good. Hey, if for anybody who wants to learn more about K2S, how would they do that? How would they connect with you on LinkedIn or wherever you hang out? What's the best way for people to learn more?
Yeah, I'd say just check us out on k2s.com, or definitely follow us on LinkedIn. We're very active there at Supply Chain K2S. And then I'm myself very active on LinkedIn as well. Connect with me, follow me. Would love to be a part of your journey.
All right, K2S.com. Check it out. Get to know Ankit and his team. Extremely capable when it comes to managing your warehouse, becoming more efficient, putting those systems in place, designing, developing those solutions. Great team to have on your side. All right, Ankit, this has been awesome. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Brett, for having me here.
All right, for everybody out there listening, please like, review, share, comment. These episodes only go as far as the people out there push them out. So be sharing. Don't be selfish. There are a lot of seven-figure business owners out there who need little light bulb moments like the one that we had today on the show with Ankit. Please share, and thanks for being here. And we'll see you next time on another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast.